Coming up on Chapman News, we have everything you need to know about Election Day in Orange County.
I'm Langley Tersani, live at a polling center in Orange, talking to voters about what's driving them to the polls today.
And after, we've still got your weather forecast.
Looks to be Lindfeldt. Oh, he tries again. He gets the goal. Golazo!
Plus, Chapman soccer and all things sports on this week's edition of Chapman News.
From Dodge College of Film and Media Arts, this is Chapman News.
Good afternoon and welcome to this week's edition of Chapman News. I'm Isabella Capri.
And I'm Josh Blinder.
It's Election Day, and here in Orange County, residents are out at the polls right now casting their ballots.
Our own Langley Tersani is live at the polling center on Chapman University's campus to talk to some voters. Langley.
Rainy Election Day. There aren't too many people outside here at Chapman University's Arduous Forum, where they have a polling center set up for students and for locals. But this Sunday, I did go and talk to Orange County residents about why they are voting in this midterm election.
From Dodge College of Film and Media Arts, this is Chapman News.
Okay. All right, our voters were talking about some of the bigger issues that they think that are on the ballot this election. They talked about abortion and also gun laws, etc. And they just talked about their rights as an American and using their voice to vote. Well, we will be here throughout the rest of the newscast to monitor the lines and see if there's any other voters here to chat with us about why they think this midterm election is so important. I'm Langley Tersani for Chapman News. Back to you at the desk.
Thank you, Langley. We hope you can manage to stay dry while you're out there. Getting hungry at the polls? Food trucks providing free meals might have you covered. The food trucks will be parked outside of polling spots across the nation, where wait times to vote are expected to be long. Vote.org, a nonprofit organization that encourages voter engagement, collected donations to help pay for the trucks. They say the trucks will hand out up to 1,000 free meals. The impact of the youth vote has been a subject of great debate this election season. Student leaders at Chapman have been encouraging their peers to get out and vote.
November 8th, 2022. Today is midterm election day. For this midterm election year, on a national scale, all of the 435 seats in the House of Representatives are in contest. In the Senate, 35 of the 100 seats are also being voted on. Locally, at Chapman University, students will be able to vote on campus. Current Chapman student Sam Andrus is hopeful for large participation from fellow students in the elections.
Well, midterms are usually less, they usually have less involvement than general elections like the presidency election. But I'm hoping with the amount of, outreach that Democrats and I guess Republicans have been doing as well, that people get out the vote more. A lot of people care more about federal elections than they do about their own state elections, which actually shouldn't be the case at all because your state legislature and your governor has more of an effect on your day-to-day life than like the president does. But still, there's a lot of issues that have been going on just this year that I think would really galvanize people to get out and vote.
Back in 2018, about 40% of the eligible students cast ballots, at the time a huge upswing from 19% in 2014. At Chapman, there's an expectation of decent voting numbers, with some doing mail-in ballots and others showing up on campus to cast their votes.
Chapman's done a really good job of putting polling places like in AF so people can come, they can vote, they can drop off their mail-in ballots. That's what I did. I'm not from here. But having the opportunity to kind of vote on campus is something that Chapman really stresses.
With today's midterm elections, it will be very interesting how many students decide to show their voice and vote. I'm Josh Blinder, reporting for Chapman News.
In Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis' office has sent lists with hundreds of names of voters to county supervisors. The governor says the people on the list may have felony convictions that prevent them from voting. In August, 20 felons were charged in Florida, accused of voting illegally in the 2020 presidential election. Here in California, people with criminal backgrounds can vote once they have completed their sentences. The only citizens who are not eligible to vote are those currently serving a sentence in a state or federal prison, including those housed in a local detention center during that sentence. There are several high-profile races for the U.S. Senate that will be decided today. In Pennsylvania, Democratic Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman and celebrity doctor Republican Mehmet Oz are in a tight contest. At a recent rally in Philadelphia, Fetterman noted he is a long-time resident of the state, while Oz is a newcomer.
You know, I'm running to serve Pennsylvania. Oz is running to use Pennsylvania.
Yesterday's Fetterman's campaign team filed a lawsuit against Pennsylvania election officials over seeking to have mail-in ballots counted even if they do not include a date on them. In Georgia, the Senate race between Democratic incumbent Raphael Warnock and Republican candidate ex-football player Herschel Walker also remains tight. These controversial races have the potential to flip the party majority in the Senate.
President Biden and former President Trump have logged many miles over the last few days, campaigning for Democrat and Republican candidates, respectively. Trump also says he'll have a major announcement 1 week from today, increasing speculation that he will run for president in 2024. President Biden has visited key states such as New York and Pennsylvania. The president says this midterm season is a defining moment for the nation.
This election isn't a referendum, it's a choice. It's a choice between two fundamentally different visions of America.
Former President Trump, meanwhile, has been trading jabs with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who is considered a contender for the Republican presidential nomination.
Coming up on Chapman News, I'm Emma Charles. More on Election Day coverage. I'll run down the biggest local races and state propositions.
And also, just ahead, what will today's election results mean for political power here in the U.S.? We have analysis of the midterms with Chapman University political science professor Fred Smoller. Stay tuned to hear their thoughts on today's election.
The black truck? Hey, Christina from accounting.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, I used to date a girl named Christina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she dumped me for my best friend. You want to see some photos of them that I took?
I don't.
I thought we talked about this, buddy.
Buzzed and overshared again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna call a car.
That's a smart idea.
So, yeah, I know, that's why I did it.
Hey, you're gonna get back to the top of the mountain.
Does that mean I'm gonna get back with Christina?
No.
Oh.
No.
Our election coverage continues. Emma Charles joins us live in studio, now with a look at the big local and state national races and issues.
Thanks, Josh. The race for governor is between Democratic incumbent Governor Gavin Newsom and Republican challenger Brian Dahle. The race for governor is between Democratic incumbent Governor Gavin Newsom and Republican challenger Brian Dahle. Newsom easily turned back a recall attempt just last year and is expected to win another 4-year term today. Democrat Alex Padilla is looking to return to the U.S. Senate. He is opposed by Republican constitutional attorney Mark P. Muser. Orange County has a couple of tight congressional contests because of redistricting. The 45th district is a contentious race between incumbent Republican Michelle Steele and Democrat challenger Jay Chen. Steele recently made headlines for her attack ads on Chen that some AAPI groups have called racist. California's 46th district is currently held by Democrat Lou Correa, who is currently being challenged by Republican Christopher Gonzalez. In the 47th district, incumbent Democrat Katie Porter has tough competition with Republican Scott Baugh. And as always, there are a number of propositions on the ballot. A yes vote on Prop 1 would approve an amendment to California's state constitution guaranteeing reproductive freedom. A yes vote on Prop 26 would allow in-person sports betting at American Indian casinos and racetracks. Prop 27 also tackles gambling and would legalize online sports betting. A yes vote on Prop 28 would require states to provide funding to arts and music in public schools in California. Prop 29 would require dialysis clinics to have at least one licensed medical practitioner on site. This is the third time this issue has appeared on the ballot. Prop 30 increases taxes by 1.75% on those earning more than $2 million annually, with revenue going towards zero emissions programs and wildfire prevention. Governor Newsom has been vocal in his opposition, noting that rideshare company Lyft has spent more than $45 million on the proposition. Newsom says it's a money grab by Lyft. State regulators have mandated that all rideshare trips be emissions-free by the year 2030. And finally, Prop 31 is asking voters to uphold a state ban on flavored tobacco sales. Even after the polls close later today, there are several races around the country that will not be called for days or even weeks. With the increase in mail-in ballots and also close races, it's possible we may not find out which party will have control of Congress until later this week. Here are some key states which may have a delay in reporting election results. In Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, mail-in ballots cannot start being counted until today, Election Day. We know Republicans tend to vote in person and many Democrats by mail, so Wisconsin and Pennsylvania voters could see a red mirage followed by a blue wave of voters. Results may take a few days as election officials count all the ballots. Georgia requires a candidate to win over 50% of the vote, meaning the hotly contested races for U.S. Senate or governor could go to a runoff, which would be on December 6th. Georgia has also had a population shift in the last few years, making the traditionally red state lean blue. Nevada is the same, a population boom in Las Vegas, where many of those voters tend to vote blue. We saw in 2020 it took a long time for Nevada to count the votes, but with the pandemic, the state has adopted more mail-in voting. And finally, Arizona may have some of the closest races this year. The state has also had some of the biggest election deniers, and there may be several recounts of the vote. Polls close in California at 8 p.m. tonight. Make sure to turn in your ballot or vote in person by then. I'm Emma Charles, live in the studio. Back to you at the desk.
We are now joined by Chapman political science professor Fred Smoller, who is here to give us his insight on the midterm elections today and the potential changes ahead for our country. Professor Smoller.
The speakership would go to Kevin McCarthy from Nancy Pelosi. And according to Kevin McCarthy, we would see investigations of Hunter Biden, of the Afghan pullout. I would imagine that there'll be an attempt to impeach President Biden by the extreme right. The other thing is, if the Republicans do very well, it'll embolden Donald Trump, who is set to declare his candidacy for 2024. I personally think that it might encourage President Biden to step aside and not run for re-election, in the same way that losing the primary in Massachusetts did to Lyndon Johnson in '68. The president is, I think, 80 years old, and most of us know history shows us that second-term presidents tend to fare very poorly.
Some of the major issues in this midterm election include inflation, rising crime, and abortion rights. How might these impact the outcome today?
The economy and about crime. And I think that the Republicans, if they certainly, I think they'll come into the House. We're not quite sure about the Senate. We don't really know what they're going to do. Their argument is that inflation is occurring in the United States because of excessive spending. There are other economists who refute that. They say it's a function of the supply chain problem that resulted from COVID-19. They say that it is also a function of the war in the Ukraine. In either case, the Republicans will probably come in and do what they've done in the past, which is cut taxes on the well-to-do and large corporations, and scale back government spending.
Can you analyze for us how the two parties have handled campaigning for this election and some of the high-profile races like for the Senate in Pennsylvania and Georgia?
Well, again, I think the word has been gas pumps and the price of gas and inflation. And these are what are called dinner table issues. And the Republicans have really come hard on that. And they've been very successful. Those races are very, very tight in the Senate and the House.
Thank you, Professor Smoller, for providing your insight with us today. In non-election news, it has been a little over 8 months since the war in Ukraine started. Russian attacks on key infrastructure have left thousands without power and water in cities across Ukraine. As drone and missile strikes continue to ramp up, many have been forced to flee their homes and resettle elsewhere. Chapman News reporter Colin Gaja talks to one organization based here in Orange County about efforts to help refugees arriving in Southern California.
Of the 103 million people forcibly displaced by conflict in 2022, more than 7 million are from Ukraine. The war in Ukraine is the largest refugee crisis in Europe since World War II, and as conflict continues, more people will be forcibly removed from their homes. The Orange County Jewish Coalitions for Refugees, or OCJCR, is a nonprofit organization that aims to help refugees and asylum seekers who come to Southern California. The organization provides assistance and temporary housing for those who look to resettle here in SoCal. Jackie Mentor, who co-founded OCJCR and works with refugees from all around the world, says the resettling period for most refugees is a long and hard transition.
The Ukrainians who are coming over, they're also coming from, country where a war is going on, and most have experienced a great deal of trauma and, been right in the middle of a war zone. They were almost always put in hotels for very long stays because it's so hard to find housing. So their sense of agency, their sense of, having a secure, permanent kind of living situation was up in the air for 6 months to a year.
The U.S. Refugee Resettlement Program is a program that aims to help refugees move and settle in various parts of the U.S. Many refugees utilize this program as a main pathway into finding asylum or resettling in the U.S. However, the Trump administration hindered the effectiveness of this program. Major cuts in the amount of refugees allowed into the U.S., along with halting refugee arrivals for a period of time, led to a disruption in the ability for the program to perform, which the effects are still felt today.
The first thing we need to do is provide the funding to the refugee resettlement program so that the infrastructure can be built back up to be able to accommodate the types of numbers of refugees that we were admitting into the United States several years ago. Many of those offices were closed by the previous administration, so some of them still need to be reopened.
Today, the Biden administration works on rebuilding the program to what it once was, and has since risen the number of refugees allowed into the U.S. per year to 125,000. With midterm elections upon us, to ensure that the same amount of refugees are able to come into the country next year, vote for representatives or vote on laws and bills that support refugees and the resettlement program. I'm Colin Gaja, reporting for Chapman News.
Chapman's Department of Public Safety officers will soon begin wearing body cameras. Another informational session about the new policy was held this morning. Officers will begin wearing the cameras next semester. DPS says its goal is to enhance safety and security on campus. However, the department acknowledges the public may have concerns. Chief of Public Safety Rick Gonzalez took questions at informational sessions for faculty and students. Chapman DPS has 19 officers on staff.
Striking bus mechanics and maintenance workers here in Orange County have put their walkout on hold for Election Day. An estimated 100,000 people use the buses each day in the OC. They have been without transportation since the strike began last week. The Orange County Transportation Authority and the union representing the workers have been in contract talks for months. Management says it offered a 14% pay raise over 3 years. The union says the OCTA walked out of negotiations and its members did everything they could to avoid the strike. The strike is scheduled to resume tomorrow.
I'm Caroline Applegate with your local and national weather forecast. And if voters will be needing to bring some extra layers to wear to the polls.
I'll be seeing you in all of our favorite places with laughter and warm embraces all day through.
I love you too.
With free COVID-19 vaccines, sunnier days are ahead. Visit getvaccineanswers.org.
I'll be seeing you.
Haitian gang leaders have said that they will allow fuel to be distributed again in the capital. This is following 2 months of shutting down the country, disturbing access to all energy supplies. Haiti has been experiencing a security and humanitarian crisis. Powerful gang leaders implemented a lockdown that has caused turmoil. Schools have closed, food and water is scarce, and civilians are suffering from a cholera outbreak. Wilhelm Lemke, a Haitian native and president of Association Industries in Haiti, spoke with us from his home in Miami about the issue.
It's a calamity. It's almost, a Hollywood horror movie, but it's real. It's a dire humanitarian crisis.
Haitians are still dealing with blockages and many are being forced to stay home. Lemke says that it is 40 years of poor governance that is leading to the current state of Haiti's corruption. Yet he has faith his country will return to normalcy.
For that, we need a firm, equitable, strong rule of law, a reinforced justice system. We need to rebuild our institutions, and the state is very weak in that sense.
Life in this normally bright and cheerful country has dramatically changed. 100,000 Haitians have fled their homes in search of a better life.
5 years ago, the Me Too movement took hold on social media. It highlighted the prevalence of sexual assault and misconduct in many industries, including some of the most powerful individuals in entertainment. Today, many of those accused of facing trials. Academy Award-winning actor Kevin Spacey has been accused of sexual misconduct by almost a dozen men. Recently, he was found not guilty of accusations from actor Anthony Rapp. Rapp claims Spacey made sexual advances on him when he was only 14. Though Spacey was found not guilty in that case. Spacey awaits trial in Britain, where he faces 4 sexual assault charges. The trials are expected to begin next summer. That 70s show star Danny Masterson is currently on trial for 3 rape accusations as of yesterday. A 4th accuser will take the stand. The Church of Scientology, of which Masterson is a second-generation member, has played a large part in this trial, as the accusers have claimed the church discouraged them from coming forward with allegations. Masterson is denying all charges and faces 45 years to life in prison if convicted. Paul Haggis, a Canadian filmmaker, is entering the final week of his trial, in which 5 women have accused him of rape. Scientology also plays a role in this case, as Haggins is an ex-member. Actress Leah Remini, another ex-Scientologist, testified that the church is trying to punish Haggis for speaking out against Haggis's ex-wife. Also testifying on his behalf, she claims that though he cheated on her with roughly 20 different women, she does not believe the allegations. Haggis denies all of the accusations. And finally, producer Harvey Weinstein's second trial has begun in Los Angeles. Weinstein was convicted of rape in 2020. The LA case includes 11 new felony charges and is taking place while he serves a 23-year sentence. More than 80 witnesses are expected to take the stand if convicted in the ongoing trial. He faces up to 140 years in prison. NASA will be launching its latest weather satellite, JPSS-2, tomorrow morning. It will join a constellation of other satellites which orbit the Earth 14 times a day. During their orbit, the satellites capture data for other weather forecasts around the globe on everything from rainfall and snow patterns to hurricanes and environmental hazards such as forest fires and volcanic activity. The satellites are critical in helping scientists predict long-term weather forecasts and prepare for extreme weather events. NASA will also be launching a flight test for an inflatable decelerator. That technology is a heat shield designed for entry and re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere. Officials say it is important for reusability and could help humans land on Mars one day. The inflatable decelerator will splash back down to Earth around 500 miles off the coast of Hawaii. It will be the largest blunt object to ever return from space to Earth. That new weather satellite is sure to come in handy for our future weather reports.
Caroline Applegate is here now to provide this week's weather forecast. Caroline?
Thank you, Josh and Isabella. We have an update on extreme weather that could impact the poles in Florida. Subtropical storm Nicole formed in the southwestern Atlantic on Monday and sent hurricane warnings to the northwestern Bahamas. Nicole will grow to a strong subtropical storm or minimal hurricane Wednesday night or Thursday morning, heading towards Florida's east coast, right in the middle of this midterm chaos. And here in Orange, today it's not looking so sunny, with an average of 63 degrees and rainfall, so make sure to keep those ballots dry. As a result, evacuations have been ordered in the areas where the Silverado and the Bond wildfires burned. And let's see what's happening nationally. Up in the Pacific Northwest, Seattle, it's looking a little chilly at 42 degrees, and in San Francisco, 55. And in my hometown, Park City, it's warming up a little bit at 46 degrees, but my family will be seeing snowfall for the rest of the week, ready to get their ski on. However, in Denver here, it's warming up at 71 degrees, and down in Austin, feeling like summer at 81. Over in Minneapolis, we're looking at 51 degrees, and in Chicago, 56. Down in Atlanta, it's a nice 76 degrees, and in Miami, rainfall with an average 83. Up in DC, 62 degrees, and finally in the Big Apple, we're seeing 57 degrees. Now for our Orange County forecast, we're seeing low to mid 60s all around, with it being 65 in Westminster and Irvine, 64 and 63 in Newport Beach and Orange, and 62 degrees in Laguna Beach, San Clemente, and Mission Viejo. And now for our Orange 5-day forecast. We're seeing rainfall continuing tonight with a low of 55 degrees, and rainfall continuing into the morning with a high of 62 and a low of 50. But then it'll be sunny on Thursday with a high of 71 and low of 44. The sunshine will continue into Friday and Saturday with a little bit of cloud coverage, and 71 on Friday and Saturday 68. That's all I have for you on the weather front. I'm Caroline Applegate. Back to you at the desk.
Apple announced they will finally be parting ways with their product-specific Lightning adapters and follow in the trend of switching to more versatile USB-C charging.
And powers the most impressive range of Pro innovations yet. The iPhone 14 Pro goes above.
Ministers from the EU adopted a common charger law that will be put into place by 2024. This law requires all electronic devices to support USB-C charging. Apple Senior Vice President of Worldwide Marketing, Greg Joswiak, says Apple will comply with the law and apply the change to phones outside of the EU. Analysts are now expecting next year's iPhone release to be the first to include USB-C charging.
But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows? Maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah. Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
California residents are voting on 2 propositions that would legalize sports betting in the state. Proposition 26 would legalize in-person sports betting in tribal casinos and horse racetracks. The other proposition on the ballot, 27, would legalize online sports betting on platforms run by tribes and gaming companies such as DraftKings and FanDuel. Some Native American tribes oppose Prop 27, claiming it is an attack on tribal sovereignty, whereas Prop 26 would allow tribal groups to regulate membership and set their own rules. Both propositions include language safeguarding against underage gambling and prohibit gambling on youth sports. Supporters and opponents of both 26 and 27 have spent more than $440 million, breaking a California record for campaign spending. Sports have not just been in the news due to the props being voted on today.
Championships across the sports world have caught fans' attention. With more on the sports world, we have Gavin Nguyen in the studio. Gavin?
Hello and welcome to the Best Campus Sports Show. I'm Gavin Nguyen. We begin this week in Houston. The World Series wrapped up on Saturday as the Astros won 4-1. The Phillies' Kyle Schwarber hit a solo home run in the top of the 6th inning to start the scoring, but Houston quickly responded with 4 runs of their own a half inning later, including this 3-run shot from Yordan Alvarez. In the top of the 9th, the Phillies got a runner on, but the 4-run rally by the Astros in the 6th was enough to seal the deal.
Kyle Tucker, this time they finish the job. The Houston Astros, world champions.
I can't say this is the outcome I wanted, but I'm at least happy Dusty Baker finally got a ring. And in the world of NASCAR, Joey Logano took home the championship at Phoenix Raceway. This is his 2nd career championship win. He beat other championship 4 contenders Ross Chastain, Chase Elliott, and Christopher Bell. And here on our very own campus, a couple of great games for the Panthers. Chapman football dominated Cal Lutheran in a strong 65-26 victory. With the win, the Panthers improved to 6-3 on the season. Chapman soccer also had some great playoff victories this weekend. On Saturday, they took a 1-0 victory over Cal Lutheran to advance them to the SCIAC Finals. And in the finals, the Panthers played the Occidental Tigers on Sunday. It was scoreless until the final minute of the game's 2nd overtime when Jackson Busby scored the winning goal.
Headed there. Looks to be Lindfeldt. Oh, he tries again. He gets the goal. Golazo! That might win him the championship game. What a play!
The Panthers secured that championship with a final score of 1-0. Congratulations, Panthers. And on that winning note, that's all for the Best Campus Sports Show. I'll see you next week for more sports news.
A Southern California native just got $2 billion richer. After technical delays last night, the record Powerball drawing took place this morning. The winning ticket coming out of Joe's Service Center in Altadena. This is the biggest lottery prize the world has ever seen. Lottery officials estimate that the chances of winning the lotto is 1 out of 292 million. The winner can opt out for a lump sum of money, roughly $929 million, or be paid annually over 29 years to receive the full amount of money. Today's winning numbers were 10, 33, 41, 47, 56, and Powerball 10. More than 5,000 people gathered in Anaheim recently to watch a video game tournament. It's yet another sign that esports and video game competitions are rapidly growing in popularity. Chapman News reporter Daniel Gomez has the full story.
It was a packed arena at the Anaheim Convention Center for the Overwatch League Grand Finals. The players on stage are the best in the world playing the video game Overwatch, and this is basically their Super Bowl. The fans are here to see their favorite team become champions.
Gladiator's usually my team, but for today we're going for Dallas. You know, we need a new champion. Shock has won it enough.
No.
We're tired of it.
We don't. Shock needs the three-peat. They have won twice. We need a three-peat, baby.
Esports events like these were put on hold due to the COVID pandemic. This is the first live Overwatch event since 2019. Fans couldn't be happier to be back and cheering together.
Just all of the people that I've met a ton of people from either here in California, people in Kansas, people in New York. It's just been a great thing meeting everyone.
So you see that there's a wide variety of people here, women, guys, non-binary, how inclusive it is, very representative of the world.
The night ended with the reveal of Overwatch's newest character and a grand final that went the distance.
The Dallas Fuel take their place amongst the stars, rising to become your 2022 Overwatch League champions.
A new character and a new champion. Live esports has finally returned to Southern California. Be on the lookout for more events in your area for your favorite video games. This has been Daniel Gomez for Chapman News.
I can definitely feel the excitement from the esports community, and I look forward to seeing more events like this one in the future. Be sure to check out our YouTube page at chapmannews.tv and make sure to follow us at Chapman News. I'm Isabella Capri.
And I'm Josh Blender. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next Tuesday with more Chapman News.